Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Katalia Han, an advisory board member of Universal Versatile Society, a researcher of SDSN Youth Global Network for UVS, and a World Bank Max Tabiso Atkins Climate Ambassador of Australia in 2024 under the guidance of Global Youth Climate Network. I'm also the meeting moderator of today's session in partnership with ECARD Resilience Hub. It's our great pleasure to work with ECARD for the second year, and we aim to embrace greater prosperity and sustainable development for everyone in the community. We don't have planet B, and thereby we must and we have to take emergent climate actions to confront the climate crisis and safeguard our homelands, our cultures, our history for ourselves, the next generations, and their species. Before we officially embark on our journey toward COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, we need to re-emphasize our goals and our climate ambitions and also share the key messages with you. Our today's topic is cultivating the future, the role of regenerative agriculture in South Asia's sustainability. This 16-minute session will guide you to rethink emerging resolutions such as renewable energy sources and sustainable farming approaches to evolve the current agri-food systems by replicating modern solutions, breaking down silos across departments for improved transparency and connecting governments at all levels for cross-sectoral collaborations. This session aims to identify key barriers in agri-food systems of South Asia to enhance climate resilience and highlights the crucial role of modern nature-based solutions in cultivating green and low-carbon agri-food systems, involving the decarbonization of the food supply chain and all surrounding ecosystems for multi-species justice. Under such circumstances, food yield and wastage, carbon sequestration potential, environmental degradation, and other climate issues will be well discussed and evaluated. It's our privilege to invite Vikrant Srivastava, Fahad Haider, Narayan Solanki to showcase their knowledge and projects for addressing the above issues in South Asia. Through today's session, you are anticipated to grasp the significance of integrating sustainable farming and nature conservation for climate resilience and have a deep dive into innovative solutions and best practices in regenerative agriculture and food production. Moreover, panel discussions on the potential of cross-sectoral collaboration and interstate cooperation in South Asia to mobilize funds and technology for adaptation plans at all levels will bring you more insights into multi-stakeholder engagement for your own leadership in your communities. To avoid any inconvenience, I kindly invite you to mute yourselves and close your camera so that guest speakers will be under the spotlight while giving presentations. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat box, indicating who you are, where you're from, which city you reside in, and your opinion about today's topic. For starters, we are excited to hear speeches and discussions from our honorable panelists, Vikrant Srivastava, Fahad Haider, and Narayan Solanki. They will present their understanding of policy frameworks, best practices, and suggestions associated with agri-food systems in South Asia. Dear audiences, please keep yourselves on mute, and you will be given the opportunity to raise questions at the end of this session. The meeting will be recorded and promoted on various social media platforms. Without further ado, we will first hear the speech from Vikrant Srivastava. Vikrant Srivastava is a climate change specialist with extensive experience in multi-stakeholder engagement, civil society organization, and environmental processes. He focuses on advancing climate adaptation solutions, fostering youth leadership, and shaping policies within the UN system and civil society organizations. Vikrant has played a pivotal role in global environmental governance, contributing significantly to real conventions, UNEP, UNEA, and the INC Plastic Treaty. Currently, he serves as the Asia-Pacific focal point for CYMG UNEP, Young Focal Point Asia Youth Empowerment, and is on the Youth Policy Board of the World Food Forum. Additionally, Vikrant sits on the advisory board of multiple UNEP, UNCCD, and UNFCCC accredited organizations and CSOs. Owing to the time clash, Vikrant is unable to attend the meeting on time, but he's recorded his key messages, and please allow me to display his video to you all. Successes in regenerative agriculture and next generation farming.
Hi everyone, very good afternoon, very good evening, and very good morning. Thanks, Catalia, for introducing me. And once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Vikrant Shrivastava, and I will be sharing a case study on regenerative agriculture farming and how this is a next generation farming. So, first of all, starting with the introduction, what exactly regenerative agriculture farming is. And with that said, we'll also try to learn through a case study. So first of all, the regenerative agriculture farming is built around the principle and the practice that seeks to promote healthier soil and water, and further to promote the biodiversity and restore the ecosystem. Replacing the traditional farmings by RA is moving forward in gaining its importance, especially to protect and manage to restore the nature. And this is also a set of farming again to improve the soil health, again is enhancing the biodiversity and further restoring the ecosystem. And why this is matter? It's a vital for revising the soil degradation and again tackling the climate change and one of the proven method for climate resilience model. And further, it also provides a sustainable alternative to traditional farming, ensuring a long-term food security. We will be learning through a case study. On my screen, you can see a map, and then this map is currently the location is based in Dhamari village. It's in Pune, Maharashtra, one of the state of India. And one of the work we did in regenerative agriculture farming is that we impacted around 4,000 people with our small project. And we did that through farming training centers, sustainable practice. And again, this case where we go forward, we'll try to learn more about what were the key steps, what were the main driver to facilitate the practice. And again, learning about the agro ranger, the NGO that implemented it. So with the mission of regenerative degraded agriculture land and build soil health and restore the organic carbon level, Agro Ranger came together with this mission and to facilitate the practice and adopt the regenerative agriculture farming. And some of the activities that I shared, and I know I don't have much time, but just a quick glance what we did over the past 3 years, that we started a training and workshop conducting hand-on workshops on rainwater harvesting, composting and organic farming, focus on youth, women, and particularly smallholder farmers. And with these activities focusing on the regenerative farming method, we initiated a few of the activities under that. Some of the activities you can also see through on my screen, such as Project Saharni that works on training farmers and implementing pilot farm in different villages. And this was a model farm to demonstrate how regenerative agriculture farming works, such as agroforestry, contour farming, and organic and seed preservations. And again, this couldn't have been done through the local NGOs and government agencies and the implementer we were, but at the same time, the local community supported us because they knew that their land is being degraded, and the only effort that we are trying to do is that to work with them together and achieve what we wanted to achieve with them together. So that's again. In the past 3 years, there have been so many success story, and we trained more than 100 farmers in the Mari itself and surrounding village. With more than 60% of them were women, and we increased the soil health up to 20%, leading to a higher crop yield. And further, we also work on water conservation through building farm ponds and installed rainwater systems. And this resulted in increasing 30% of groundwater level with improved water retentions. Even where the project happened, it's a drought prone area. And again, as I mentioned that we have been working extensively in this field, and few of the success story that uh, led us these one of the major success to happen was uh, our implementer Siddhi Sapore recently received the UNCCT Land Hero Award for the works on farmer, and again for the work that we have been doing through the different stakeholders focusing on youth and women. That is one of the work that we did. Again, there have been so many challenges also, but again, just to highlight few challenges, was funding was on one of the biggest challenge that we face, and we also got support through in-kind support through the community itself that kind of minimize our funding challenges at the same time. But a lot of awareness and education were also a challenge for us. And again, to execute it properly, we implemented few of the key uh, elements that you can see on my screen. And some of the work that we are doing and some of the key success factor that worked well in the case study was again collaboration with partners and stakeholders. So the community where we wanted to implement these projects, the community itself worked with us, and this proven success for us. And I hope that this could be also taken forward for all the listeners, those who are listening right now. And just to summarize a bit before I end, uh, we we will look forward again to expand, and we are learning at the same time while we are expanding at the same time. But some of the lesson that we learned together is that the community-led initiative work best wherever you are, and engaging with the local community, with the local farmers, youth, we ensure that this sustainable practice is being adopted. And some of the uh, practical demonstration and a model farm also work, and this is also very crucial at the same time uh, to move forward. Yep. And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And over to Catalia.
Thank you very much for this aspirational speech, and we look forward to meet Vikrant Srivastava at this year's COP29 in Baku. So incorporating tradition and innovation is easier said than done. However, young people can unlock their great potential to further youth-led climate initiatives mentioned in this speech to transform agri-food systems across the Asia-Pacific region. Now, I'd love to invite Fahad Haider to the stage and provide us with information about Aminate and best practices through his speech. solar irrigation pumps utilization in Bangladesh. Fahad Haider is currently working as a renewable energy engineer consultant based in Sydney, Australia. Originally from Bangladesh, he also runs his own organization to help underprivileged communities with renewable energy, which is SDG 7, with an emphasis on the youth. He completed various renewable energy and climate consultancy projects like solar mini grids, battery systems, grid modernization, and so on for development partners such as the World Bank, JICA, UNDP, etc., and was also a renewable energy educator. He has been fortunate to work with a Nobel Prize winner and the world's top climate scientists, along with experiences in Australia, Bangladesh, Denmark, India, Myanmar, PNG, Switzerland, Turkey, Uganda, UAE, and the USA. Examples of his projects include initiating humanitarian projects in Bangladesh, empowering rural disadvantaged schools with solar and low energy computers, which were presented in 3 international conferences and had an academic paper published. Developing a proposal with an NGO in Papua New Guinea for a green hub powered by nature-based solutions and clean energy. Organizing and moderating a climate and energy webinar series with global leaders, and so on. He also carries out capacity building sessions on energy for organizations worldwide. He organized 3 side events at COP28 in Dubai on youth, climate, and energy, including an official UNFCCC side event, in collaboration with the World Bank Group, University of Melbourne, Emory University, Commonwealth Secretariat, and other organizations. Fahad is a global ambassador for the MTCAP climate program supported by the World Bank, a United People Global Sustainability Leader, an Al Shark Fellow, and a Global Talent for Unleash. He is also a member of the Younger Energy Technology Mechanism and NDC's working groups. His value proposition is to bridge the gap between youth, climate, and energy. He completed his master's in renewable energy engineering from the University of New South Wales in 2019 and a Bachelor of Engineering from Macquarie University as a full scholarship recipient in 2013. So without further delay, Fahad, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kat. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Just bear with me for a bit. I'm trying to share my screen. Yep, here we go. Start the slideshow. All right, perfect. Do you guys see the screen?
Yes, all good.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for that, Kat. All right, just get sorted. All right. So, hey everyone, this is Fahad Haider. Kat already gave a really wonderful introduction, so I won't spend too much time talking about myself. I will be talking about solar irrigation pumps and their utilization in Bangladesh. And I just want you guys to focus on the last line here. I've done a fair bit of work on irrigation pumps in Bangladesh, but I've had decent experience in Nigeria and Australia as well. So it's like I'll talk on behalf of all these experiences in these various countries as well. But my main focus will be obviously Bangladesh because this is the South Asia regional hub. Anywho, so yep, moving on, solar irrigation pumps. What are solar irrigation pumps? I just wanted to give a quick introduction as to what it actually is. So as we can see from the diagram, right? So first there is solar modules. So the solar provides the power, and then from the power it goes to the controller. And then from the controller, we have 2 different types of pumps. One is the ordinary surface level pump. Others are submersible pumps. So these 2 photos illustrate it better. So surface level pumps, they don't have to go underground. They can, let's say a water body like a pond or a river, they can pump water from there. And then submersible pumps, you have to like dig them. It's like you have to dig a hole around like 150 let's say it depends on the area, like around 100, 150 feet deep. And then the submersible pump goes in, and then the water is pumped out. And then, yeah, you water your produce. And then the main thing I want to focus on was more, so look, it says pump controller, but this can be AC, alternative current, or direct current, right? And then we can have battery backup generator. We can support the grid as well. So this whole system is relatively flexible, right? So the current system is just like an ordinary pump, which is diesel powered, which is really bad for the environment and so on. But yeah, the solar irrigation pumps, they gave a really good new avenue to the approach. So this is just a photo of an SIP, or solar irrigation pump, that was installed in Bangladesh. This is what the traditional pump looks like, and this is the SIP, which is nice and clean, and there are no emissions. So yeah, the context of Bangladesh. So as we know, like Bangladesh is heavily agro-based, agriculture-based, right? So the solar-based irrigation systems, it offers a very innovative solution. And currently, there are 3,498 solar irrigation systems already implemented in Bangladesh, which is producing around over 60 megawatts, which is great. This is according to SREDA, the government body for renewable energies in Bangladesh. However, the potential for this can go up to 6.5 gigawatts, right? So 6,500 megawatts by replacing diesel pumps. This can prevent 20.8 million tons carbon emissions. So the potential for this is amazing, is great. And the fact that from solar irrigation pumps, we cut emissions, we reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and we cut emissions, number one. Second, the farmers, they save money. They don't have to buy diesel again and again. And then they burn it, obviously, to run the pumps. The farmers save money. It saves foreign exchange reserves as well, because the diesel, the oil, and so on, that is bought in US dollars in Bangladesh. So this is saved as well. Moving on, it also reduces demand from the national grid. Like I said, the existing pumps, a lot of them are AC, and they run on the national grid as well. It's so using solar, it reduces demand from the national grid. Finally, you can increase food production as well. So we can install these types of solar pumps in areas where you can even produce you get three yields of crops throughout the year. And also in places where there is no grid, for example, you can install these and then you increase food production. All right, moving on. What are the challenges though? This is all nice and great. It sounds wonderful, but why aren't we seeing more implementation, not just in Bangladesh and other countries as well? So obviously it has a high capital cost. It's not just the solar and the pump. We have to draw the pipes. Some are underground, and then you need, like the photo I have here, they needed to make an enclosure to store the pumps so that they don't get stolen, for example. And then it had fencing, and then all these areas, it needed like water to flow through and piping and so on. This particular example needed underground piping, so it got pretty expensive. So yep, so the capital cost at the beginning is relatively high. Also, there is lack of proper fund mobilization. And this can be for companies that want to implement this, but also for farmers who want to purchase the system and install it on their site. And fund mobilization can be grants as well. There are many climate grants and many other grants, for example, but unfortunately, in the global south, in developing countries, we see that a lot of people, organizations, so on, they struggle to mobilize this fund, to apply, to get the message across, and then get the funds. And one of the reasons for that is there is a lack of expertise. There is a definite lack of expertise in our area, renewable energy, and so on. So lack of expertise, lack of technology. Not the newest technologies are not really available, and there is also a huge lack of maintenance and after-sale services. We know solar systems, they require some level of maintenance and also after-sale services. So that is lacking too. Moving on, there is also lack of marketing facility. There is improper price of the crops in the market. So this is something I'm not sure if it's prevalent in other countries as well, but we see that when the during harvesting season, the farmers, they get paid very low because there is excess supply. The farmers get paid very low, right? So that means they don't make as much money. And if they don't make as much money, it's really difficult for them to install new technology and have that high capital cost I was talking about. And a very interesting point I wanted to really focus on is that we've also seen that there is a tendency for the farmers to have a reluctance to change. And there have been like university, like research from Australian universities in Bangladesh about this mindset and social behavior from the farmers. Like, why is it that they don't want to install the new solar, for example, right? So this was this was quite interesting. But we've seen that unfortunately, especially in those rural areas, the level of education is not that high, and people have gotten accustomed to the way they are doing things, and they are a bit apprehensive of change, especially new technology, lots of different parts, new parts, and so on. So this has definitely been a big issue as well. Moving on, just wanted to talk about like a couple of examples of some project I've been doing. So like my work here in Australia, we do monitoring of renewable energy and other grids and other like loads. And this was a distribution board in a bore pump. So this is what we call here, like this is basically a submersible pump. And from the monitoring, this was installed just yesterday. And then we can see just today, it's this from the graph. That's the beauty of data. We see that it used like 4.5 kilowatts, which is around 6 horsepower. And for one day, they used like 9.86. So this was wonderful. However, again, in the global north, we see larger capacities, easier grid integration, and so on. But again, in global south perspective, things change a bit. And this was like I was talking to this company in Nigeria, and we were just discussing how to implement an IoT system in a submersible pump, like solar irrigation pump system, basically for a submersible pump. And yeah, just wanted to highlight this as well, that again, we not just the solar irrigation pump perspective, we can also implement IoT into it, get data, analyze the data, and get different data about the water flow rate, the humidity, the soil moisture, the amount of solar being used and generated, and so on. Yeah, and that's it from my side. I hope you found it beneficial. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks a ton for sharing your years of experience and insights into the topic. Renewable energy, the new drive of decarbonization should be promoted through government policies and also concrete incentives for sure. So actually, personally, Bahad, I do have 2 questions to ask you. The first question is, what kinds of keywords would you love to share with the audience before COP29 in energy sector?
Thanks for the question, Kat. From what I've seen from my experience, renewable energy, I'll say, is the most technical aspect in terms of climate action. This is why I know that we have, like I implied it in the slides as well, we have a distinct lack of expertise in our area. So we need a lot more like capacity building, training, and so on, like all these sessions, so that people actually understand solar and wind and biomass, and then they can integrate it with not just solar irrigation pumps, but off-grid systems, with the grid, with we see it integrated in boats, and anything that utilizes power, solar can be used, for example, over there. So in that aspect, there is definitely a big need for more capacity building, training, and so on. I feel like this is something, the capacity building or the training, it helps us build a strong foundation, and then we can form a greater, like once we have experts in the subject, once we have a strong foundation, then we can have more successful projects. So I feel this is one of the most important, if not the most important aspect currently, for for more renewable energy implementation. I
Okay.
can keep going on about policies and and many other things, but I feel this would be ideal. This is the most important in my eyes.
Agreed. That's definitely the paramount thing. We need to keep it in mind. And in all kinds of climate negotiations and interventions, we also need to put into the important agendas of this world and also try to prioritize and accelerate the process. Okay, similar to Fahad, who's currently working in the private sector, Narayan Solanki from Universal Versatile Society is also trying extremely hard to amplify civil society organizations' voices in the climate negotiation and the fulfillment of climate pledges. The NGO coalition, as part of non-state key actors, should be intensified to transform agri-food system for quicker decarbonization and a better carbon sequestration potential. So I'm going to share my screen again. Now, please allow me to briefly introduce Narayan Solanki to the stage. So first of all, thank you very much for your time out of the National Festival today. I actually feel quite guilty about this invitation and decision made. Mr. Narayan Solanki is the founder and president of Universal Versatile Society, a UNEP and UNCCD accredited organization having a special consultative status with UN ACOSOC. He is the executive director of Weekly World Climate Change News. He's working in social sector since 2005 and active in the field of education, mental health, climate change, and sustainable agriculture in rural Vidarbha of India. He holds bachelor's and master's degrees in mass communication and journalism, and also have completed a certificate course in journalism in English by the University of Pennsylvania. His contribution to initiating the cleanliness campaign in different villages in Maharashtra by publishing a book that was appreciated by the government in 2008. The book was published by Gajibaba Amaravati University. In 2004, he has represented India in the IORN Slovakia International Conference. Further, he was part of the Tanza International Conference on Environment at Bandung, Indonesia, which was sponsored by UNEP and Ministry of Environment Indonesia. For his efforts in education, he has been called to the Education Project Conference at Bahrain, then twice to the European Summer School at Leipzig University, Germany. He is a climate reality leader trained through former US Vice President Mr. Al Gore in Seattle. Also, he is a trainee of the Climate Change and Health course hosted by Tata Energy Research Institute. He has facilitated many world climate simulations for university students. As he is representing the Farmers Suicide-Prone Aspiration District, which is Washington, he is leading a very comprehensive and complex project on regenerative agriculture and psychiatric rehabilitation of farmers. For his contribution to social work, he has won awards like Icon of Washington, Man of the Year 2018, Man of the Year 2025, 2005, and State Level Teacher Award, etc. Under his leadership, Universal Versatile Society has received a Certificate of Merit through World CIS Congress, and in 2021, FAO's Global Agri-Inno Challenge UV Society was selected as one of the finalists. So without further ado, I do have two questions to raise and also challenge Mr. Solanki. Even if we are working closely remotely, but I am still quite curious about the answers for those two questions. So the first question is, from your perspective, what may be the best scalable approaches that integrate biodiversity with agriculture to increase food production, reduce pollution, and improve the welfare of the local communities in India?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kat, for this introduction, and good evening, good afternoon, or good morning to the audiences. Coming to the questions by Kat, First of all, I would like to answer about projects operated by UVS to tackle the issues pertaining to this climate change and all these things. So UVS is contributing for nature-based solution implementation since 15 years. We are now working with district agriculture department through self-help groups. We are mobilizing the farmers together, which further help us to implement various projects for them. Now these projects consist of like awareness programs through which we conduct camps, then various campaigns, exhibitions to make the farmers aware of regenerative agriculture and various process of certification related with the sustainable agriculture or regenerative agriculture. Next, we are conducting several training programs. So this consists of giving hands-on training about on making of these biopesticides or herbicides. So that would what we call as Amrut, Amrutpan, Dachpatni Arc, and this organic manure and pest controls. Then we conduct field visits for the farmers. This is to demonstrate the organic farms and marketplaces. Finally, we are working for marketing the produce which farmers have made through the regenerative agriculture. So this is through providing them the marketing outlets, online selling, linking producer with the consumers. Now, pertaining to the to integrate biodiversity with agriculture, I cannot separate agriculture from biodiversity. In fact, loss of biodiversity is the root cause of agriculture system failure. For better agri-food production and welfare of communities in India, I highly encourage to stop monocropping cultivation. That is what is our biggest culprit. Uh, Recently, FAO have reported that out of 20,000 edible plants, fewer than 200 is now contribute to food production, and only 9 account for the 6% of the total crop production. So this soil degradation, invite pest, then divert pollinators, and thus harming an environment. Other solution involve like no tillage practices, that is not to disturb the soil, and maintaining mulch cover from crop residues and cover crop that increases the biological activity and diversity of the production system. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Solanki, for addressing the first question. Actually, for the second question, UV Society has become one of the partners of World Food for National Chapter of India from 2024. So, as one of the key players within the major group, how do you view the NGO's role in strengthening the collaboration between government, industry, and academia to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030 and specifically transform the agri-food systems for circular economy? Mr. Solanki, the floor is yours.
Yeah. To accelerate and implement Agenda 2030, I recommend to emphasize the need to create, promote, and upscale nature-based solution project across India through different ways. Like first, I can say is equitable distribution of benefits is necessary. Second, leveraging technology. Third comes innovating research. Fourth, engaging businesses. Fifth comes creating seamless regulatory procedures. And finally, mainstreaming the benefit of adopting local sustainable solution in media. So this prove to very essential for the implementation agenda of 2030. So all in all, in conclusion, nature-based solution can be successfully implemented in Indian landscape, I may say, by bringing together diverse stakeholders to co-produce knowledge, build consensus, and achieve collective actions for promoting sustainable development and creating a resilient and thriving future for all.
Yeah, thank you so much for your detailed explanation, Mr. Solanki. And the audiences, if you are interested in these new open roads from UV Society at UN Volunteer Program, please don't hesitate to reach out or participate in these projects through application system. So let's move on to the panel discussion. So as you can see, the question is very broad and like how you view the future of sustainable farming and how it contributes to climate resilience, welfare, and the well-being of individuals, families, and communities in South Asia. So I suppose, Fahad, would you like to go first?
Yeah,
Hello.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you hear me? Yeah. So for me, like based on like my area of expertise, I obviously feel the future of sustainable farming, it requires a lot of clean energy. So obviously we can talk about like fertilizers and pesticides and so on. But again, I'm not the guy to talk about this stuff. I feel Mr. Solanki will be much better. Will be a much better option for this. But from my aspect, I see that the future in terms of sustainable farming, we need a lot of clean energy in this sector. Like I said, a lot of them are a lot of the pumps I was talking about, they're either connected to the grid, they use diesel, and they are highly polluting, they are loud, they cost a lot of money for the farmers. So overall, and again, from a developing country perspective, it's a significant amount, especially over the last 2 years with the inflation in terms of especially like diesel and so on, it had played a huge toll on the farmers themselves in terms of how much additional money they had to spend, right? And this is without the clean energy aspect. So definitely, I feel there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of need for like clean energy implementation, solar irrigation pumps, and so on, like use of clean energy overall, right? So yeah, this is where I feel like I've talked about the challenges. For example, I feel once the challenges can be overcome, once the farmers are more open and they're more adjusted and they're more used to seeing solar pumps, right? And then once we are able to mobilize the various funds that are available from the, the green climate funds and all this, and they're talking about various funds in terms of climate change, and I'm sure they'll be talking about more of this stuff in that COP as well. So all this funds, they need to come somewhere, and I feel in sustainable farming this is very important as well. And so once we can mobilize the funds and like try to overcome the challenges that were discussed, yeah, sustainable farming needs more clean energy. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, Fahad. And from my own experience, how many papers we've already read about the Article 6 related to the Paris Agreement and also IPCC for the industry report about GHG emissions, and also the pending on the list, which is national adaptation plans. So sustainable farming should be definitely listed on the important agendas to discuss about across global north and global south, just as mentioned by Fahad. So the enough and adequate reliable funds should be mobilized from global north to global south to support all of these farmers and vulnerable groups, such as the First Nations working at the front line and living alongside the coastline cities. So all of these people should be supported in a concrete way through different climate initiatives and projects. So, Mr. Solanki, would you like to have a say on this topic? Because I suppose you have a deep feeling about all of these smallholder farmers who are currently confronting climate crisis and also trying to apply the sustainable farming into their lands and also to embrace the social, economic, and ecological benefits. So the floor is yours, Mr. Solanki. Hello, Mr. Solanki, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you come again?
Yes, the question is how you view the future of sustainable farming and how it contributes to climate resilience, welfare, and well-being of individuals. So let me rephrase the question, because this time I actually want to hear more about your insights into social, economic, and ecological benefits to boost circular economy and also the well-being, welfare of individuals, families, and communities in South Asia.
Okay. Now, when it comes to sustainable agriculture or climate resilience, when it comes to agriculture part, I feel so many possible things are necessary to implement, and that is somewhere is not seeing like it's happening. Particularly when it comes to Indian scenario, I find that lack of awareness on the concept itself is the biggest problem. Like mostly farmers are not aware like how to cultivate the farm by without using pesticides or the fertilizers. So this need to see. Then lack of market opportunity to credit and assure risk is another thing. One of the report from Down to Earth recently published clearly stated that low yield organic produce demand for the high prices, and India has the highest number of organic farmers globally, but most of them are struggling as they don't have the provision of proper markets. So this is the thing. Further, I may say like lacuna in regulations leading to this project delays. Like nature-based solutions should become the priority of policymakers, but this did not happen. Like when it takes when we take the example of local agriculture department, so they are yet not aware about the carbon credits. So this is again one of the issue. Then low entrepreneur spirit is also one of the culprit, I may say, because farmers are not very adaptive to try on or to take some sort of risk with organic produce. Then alienation from rural communities who are very of their low involvement in planning and decision making process. As I may say, like generally rural population never get chance in planning and decision making process. So this need to count. And finally, the gap in wide scale application of innovative research and current technology, like R&D of our ICAR took a lot of efforts in bringing green revolution, but it does not find that it is happening with nature-based solutions. So all in all, what I mean to say, like to have this sustainable agriculture and climate resilience through agriculture system. So these are some of the gap that need to address to to get the proper solution over these problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solanki, for that explicit annotation. And now the second question is actually, I would love to throw to the floor, and it's an open question. From your perspective, what kinds of tools or platforms can be relied on for collective actions for sustainable farming, not necessarily in just South Asia, but beyond South Asia, we can rely on and also develop further, something like digital platforms or something in your mind as part of the concept note. If you would love to share, please also type your answer in the chat box. Thank you so much. Time-wise, the floor is open to the audiences. Should you have any questions or concerns, please either type in the chat box or open your mic to raise your questions. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So given the truest fact that there may be no final remarks from the guest speakers, are there any final remarks? Fahad, would you like to have highlighted points for your today's speech or any personal feelings about today's topic, please feel free to share with the audience, if any.
No, thank you. Thanks to ECAD and thanks Kat and everyone else who are involved. And it's a wonderful platform. Obviously, we participated at the South Asia Regional Hub like last year as well. So obviously, we have very good ties with ECAD. And again, thanks for providing us this platform and talking about all these things. And yeah, I feel this was very important. And yeah, in terms of I sort of wanted to go back to the Kat. You made some points about, the transfer of funds from the global north, and in terms of what was the other thing? Transfer of funds from the global north to the global south, and then national adaptation plans and all of these. Like, look, I feel we get very caught up in these technical things, but it's better just to empower individuals, whether they are in the global north or in the global south. If we empower them, right, and then whatever funding or whatever technology, whatever is available, they are smart enough to implement their own solutions in their place. And I've seen this myself. Some of the smartest people I've worked with, it's not the Nobel Prize winner we talk about. It's also one of the people I've worked with in farms in really rural villages. And I have this example of, like, we implemented solar in a school, and there was a 13-year-old boy, and you don't expect this, but the level of smartness and the level of brains they have, it's more about cultivating that as well. So we have to empower communities, particularly in the global south as well, just to make sure they know how to think properly, they have the right attitude, but they also have the right technical skills in terms of fighting climate change and so many other. It's not just climate anymore, is it? It's more the UN SDG Sustainable Development Goals, right? So it's a whole plethora of issues, and that's why empowerment, and I talked about training people as well, and that's why I feel if you train people, particularly in the global south, you empower them to get out of a lot of things that are unfortunately pushing them down. Yeah, so these were my thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, very delightful, and actually definitely guides the next generations to dive into the climate action and also try to co-craft their own innovative solutions to tackle the climate challenges. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Fahad. And Mr. Solanki, do you have the final remarks to address at this moment?
No, thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, just looking forward for the people's participation and the government and policymakers to contribute to this very emergent issue, particularly when it comes to Vidarbha and South Asia. This is a must-do thing these days. So, yeah, looking forward for the people's participations particularly. So, thank you so much for this opportunity, Kat.
Thank you so much for all of your support from UV Society, Emanate, ISAC Foundation, SDS, and Youth. Specifically, a special thank you extended from us to ECAD for the second year's partnership and collaboration. And I do have my final remark as well. What our ancestors and ethnic groups already handed over to us through verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written communications should be enshrined as part of indicators to assess if our current solutions and approaches applied to agri-food systems and surrounding ecosystems are effective enough through long-lasting positive outcomes for today and tomorrow. And thank you, Vikrant, Fahad, and Narayan for generously sharing your knowledge, prior experiences, and the lessons from your own stories on how to minimize burdens in agri-food systems through regenerative agriculture. Meanwhile, please feel free to leave your contact details in the chat box for further collaboration or explanation. I suppose it's the right time to forward my microphone to Adiba from ICAD. So then we are able to take a group photo as soon as possible.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you to the distinguished panelists to have such sessions. Like, it's been a week event, as I mentioned earlier. So we all have been actually hearing all these issues, and I'm taking actually notes in the back seat so that I can take all these messages to COP at the Physical Resilience Hub. So with that, maybe I can request our IT team to take a screenshot. I would like to request the panelists to turn on their camera so that we can take a screenshot.